Now, we probably won't get through all of them, and the people who've been involved in asking the questions, if you want to identify yourselves, you may, but otherwise I'll just start reading them. We'll get Alex talking and responding. Here's a comment from Trevor Elbin, Seniors Card Real Estate Proprietary Limited, and Trevor says, I was in South America, Brazil and Argentina in March this year and was impressed with the special allowances and facilities at airports, bus stations, car parks, restaurants, etc. for seniors, special queues, counters, car parks, etc. Have you got some comments on that?
Yes. The Brazilian federal, I'm not going to comment in Argentina specifically, but it is very similar. There is a very strong commitment to human rights in my country, and especially related to older people. And it is right. They have special queues, they have special deference, they have special seats. People do obey. It is a legal obligation because all the federal policies on aging in Brazil are inspired by a rights-based approach.
Tell us why.
It's fascinating.
It is fascinating. Just as a side, it's a great story.
1960s, 1970s, we experienced very bad, horrible dictatorships. In my youth, I saw friends being arrested, tortured, even killed. We know, my generation knows, what is not to have rights when we were young. And the people that are now in power, from the president to the deans to the CEOs of big corporations, that is my generation. And this commitment to human rights, specifically to rights of older people, is explained by this fact.
Yeah.
We are not going to allow this to happen again. And that is the commitment. And this is translated into the practices in Brazil, in Argentina, the same in Chile. I actually say that the countries that are leading this campaign for the Convention of Human Rights at the United Nations is exactly the A, B, C, U. A for Argentina, B for Brazil, Chile, Uruguay, with many letters of the alphabet missing. We want to fill this.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think that technology has a role to play in delivering better services, for example, health, to an ageing population?
Well, you just look at what medical technology has done to us. Until 1945, if you would have a chronic disease, bad luck. There was not even proper treatment for hypertension, diabetes, not even think. Pacemakers, joint replacements. I mean, you name it. When I was a medical student, this was science fiction. In these last 40 years, we have seen this tremendous achievement of medical technology, but it's not only medical. It is information technology that you can monitor your old grandmother at home with simple devices that are becoming trivial, and there is more to come. So that is why it is very exciting to grow older in the 21st century. For those like you that can afford and have access, it's fantastic. But we have to think that 83% of the 2 billion older people in the world in 2050 will live in developing countries. That is the challenge, is how to make sure that the policies that you want and will take for granted will also be extended to this vast, huge number, 1,700,000,000 older people in developing countries in 40 years. They are all adults already today. It's enough to be 20 today, to be 60 and over in the year 2050. It's challenges for the 21st century, how to make this available to all. If there is one thing that I want you to remember, developed countries first got rich and then got old. Developing countries are getting older before they are rich. And if there is one word that rhymes well with longevity, is solidarity. And you have to express this solidarity. It's not only the solidarity between the young and the old, but between the rich and the poor, the developed and developing countries. So I hope that as a result of this residency, South Australia will pair with one of the poor countries in this neighborhood. And the neighborhood today in this global village is any country in the world, so that you can help them with policies, with assistance, with support, so that the experience of growing older with quality of life is not going to be a privilege for the rich only.
Thanks, Alex. Alex, you would have heard, I think, about the NBN, the arrival of broadband coming into Australia, the biggest infrastructure development since the railway, I think. That's on its way to us. Sounds like there's a massive need for new technology and new products. Are you seeing around the world that this baby boomer ageing cohort, plus the aged groups around the world, is creating a new market for products and services?
Oh, tremendous. The opportunities are infinite. After all, this is the market that is growing. Mm-hmm. It is the market for the 50 and plus. And we are still doing things wrong. Even when you think about, for instance, something as simple as this, a bottle of mineral water. In Europe, the market is for the over 50s. And you package this in such a way that you need to be strong and muscle in order to open this.
Hands up those who've experienced that.
It's enough to be a woman with less grip, muscular strength. You don't need to be a woman. So many times I have to ask some stronger men around me, could you open this jar, please? So it is wrong. We are yet to raise the awareness and to implement the policies and products that will be more in line with the people that use them.
Yeah, and I refer to the information we get from Joran Roos, who is here working with us on advanced manufacturing and looking for future opportunities. He says that the arrival of new technologies, and digital technology in particular, will create massive new advanced manufacturing businesses and jobs, and that we need to be really thinking carefully about how we can maximise productivity opportunities for South Australia in this regard. The next question is, why do we keep building retirement villages which isolate older people from the rest of the community? And I think you heard of a very interesting statistic about isolation recently.
Remind me which statistics.
The 25, well, 25, I heard you talking yesterday, 25% in a recent piece of research, 25% of older people said that they felt isolated and lonely.
Right.
And we were jointly shocked by the size of that, but the group we were talking about was surprised it was only so low as 25%. But anyway, I've digressed a bit. The question was, why do we keep building retirement villages which isolate older people from the rest of the community?
There are many older people here. Ask yourselves, what do you want when you grow older? Do you want to be isolated in a ghetto, in a silo, without contact with your friends, your family members? Is the idea going to Florida or the equivalent to the Gold Coast, and to be there with no roots, isolated from the social capital, the richness that you have built throughout your life? It's not what I want for me. And I believe that it's not what the majority wants. But there is a reason for this behind Gaby. We are still looking at the challenges and how to build the environment, social and physical, for the 21st century with solutions and instruments from the 19th century. For instance, it doesn't make sense today that we have kept the same age of retirement that Bismarck had created in the 19th century when Social Security was conceived. Because then, in the 19th century, few people would reach the age of 65, and when they did, they were in very bad health. They would live another 2 or 3 years. They were no longer productive, so it would make more sense to send them home and give a little money. It was little, the pensions were very poor, than to keep them with full salaries when they were no longer productive. 130 years later, we keep the same age of retirement. People now at the age of 60, 65 have not years, but decades to live. A woman in South Australia today, at the age of 60, will live another 30, 31 years. And what are you going to do with this life? Go to this retirement village, surrounded by people the same age as you, I don't think so. We have to reinvent, now that we have this longevity revolution, we have to think about this old idea that has prevailed throughout the history of mankind, humankind. That is, the first part of your life you learn, the second you are productive, and the third part you will be retiring. That's wrong. We need to intercalate opportunities for learning, for retiring, recharging batteries, to raise our children, to go to Brazil on holidays. We need to think about a different way so that we get into 65, 70, 75 with more opportunities for quality of life. And yes, working longer, perhaps not full time. And then we decrease to 30 hours, maybe 20. You acquire new skills, you refresh, you reinvent yourself. And that is what I think the vast majority would like.
It's interesting the Premier raised that issue about the productive skills of older people and them stopping suddenly, and the economic implications of retirement age is quite an important thing to think of in the management of the state. And in another conversation we were having somewhere else, we were thinking about how tough it is for young parents, both working, trying to manage small children and raise them well and look after them. And there's a kind of a link somehow between some extra time, productive time, maybe the older age group could put into the workforce in order to make things more feasible for young families. I don't know, but I find that set of ideas quite interesting to think about. On the question of the retirement villages, I'd like to just note that we've got wonderful representation from retirement villages on this residency, and that the partner members are they're all thinking vigorously about what is the next evolving model for retirement care for people. Because the truth is, although many of us might want to be among family and friends, not all of us have family and friends as we age, and some of us will be ill. So some of us are going to need the kind of support that you get in high care institutions. The question is, how can those institutions evolve to deliver a kind of a care that supports the full humanity of us all?
Yeah, Gaby, that's very important when you mention about family and the evolving notion of what a family is. We have today people that have made a decision early in life not to get married, not to have children, or single parents, or gay and lesbians that will not have the classic model of what families used to be. And we have to provide to all them. Because that is the inclusiveness of active aging. That's not going to leave anybody behind.
Great. Here's another question. Ageing in rural areas in South Australia is even higher than in Adelaide. Can the age-friendly city guide be applied in small rural areas? I'd be keen to assist with rural interests if possible, says Darren Pike, the Nursing Director of Aged Care, Country Health SA.
Fantastic, Darren, because there is a very strong movement in Canada, which is a country as bigger than Australia, with more remote, isolated areas even than here. Your population is highly urbanized and lives around the coast. In Canada, it's spread. So there is a lot that we can learn with a country like Canada. That is the beauty of the age-friendly cities network, that we can learn with each other. Yeah. There are models that have been developed, and there are guides developed by our friends, and they were very strong partners with WHO, the Canadians, on developing the age-friendly cities guide, but they have also developed the age-friendly remote areas and rural areas.
Great, great. And may I say that this is a creative emergent situation in a residency, and as issues arise and as we find people who want to help us take those issues forward, we are able to include some of those issues in our work. It's particularly important for us to have people who'll help lead something like that. So, because of course Alex is one person only with only so many hours in the day, although we always do work our thinkers hard, but we're always grateful for alerts about important issues, and even more grateful for people who say, I'll help organise the first meeting on this to help you understand what's involved in these issues. So thanks for that question.
It's also because only by alerting me to specific issues, you know much better this society than I do, of course, is that I will be able to use my networks, my contacts, my experience working in the international stage and say, hey, in Canada, there are very good models. Let us liaise and let us link this together.
Yeah, fantastic. Another one. My friend, aged 72, lives in social housing in the city. She says that she's been able to manage while the central assistance was in place. It seems that now the assistance from the Commonwealth is used by the state to build more accommodation and not for rental assistance. Will Alex's residency research cover this issue? That's the issue of maintaining services in and around the support of social housing. I think we can, I'd say that was an area that we will be thinking about, isn't it? I'm asking the partners from the, what used to be called the Office of Housing and now is Housing SA, thank you very much. Yeah, I think that is an issue that we'll have on our radar and begin to do some work on that, but we love to hear stories like this to alert us, as we said.
I have already been visiting some residential care units with the assistance of our partners. Lisette and David are here. That is very important, is to be alerted to the need, and it is where I would bring again the importance of the third pillar, security. It's to provide the security to those that are not aging so well, in not so good health, with social needs and with the physical incapacities, to help them to be protected and to make them to continue to age actively in spite of their limitations.
I think it's worth noting and saying that the Minister for Ageing, Federal Minister for Ageing, has requested a meeting with Alex, which I think is a great sign of respect to South Australia, really, that they would ring us and say, can they meet with the thinker in residence to discuss this issue? So we know that there's a lot of work being done in this area at the federal level and the state level and the local level. It's a question of what can we do during this period to perhaps align it more strongly or strengthen it in one way or another. Here's a question, a great topic. Banks are not age-friendly. While Adelaide's public facilities are reasonable, banks and companies' service areas expect their customers, in brackets old people, to stand and queue for services. How can we make these organisations change, is the question. So it's the interaction with the private sector.
It is indeed. As you were giving the example before of your friend that has visited Brazil and Argentina, come and bank in Brazil because there will be a special line. We did a very thorough survey. That is we, with the largest private bank in Brazil.
With the largest private bank, yeah.
Huge corporation, one of the big 6 in the world. And we did this survey to learn what are the aspirations of older people in terms of banking. And that was after a meeting I had with the president, the CEO of this bank, and I said, listen, you are doing all wrong. You are, instead of cultivate and nurture your loyal clients, they don't want to move away from your bank. But you're putting all these barriers. You are making everything automated. Mm-hmm. The older person goes to the cash machine and tries to get the balance and will be bombarded with information that is of no use at all. And you'll go back, perhaps if you're lucky, with your card. Sometimes they take it out, swallow, and you make a phone call to the bank because you want to know what is your balance. And then you get this telephone operated, press 1, press 2, press 3, and after 15 minutes of listening to a music that is not requested, you give up. Older people, though, will blame themselves. They will feel humiliated. Yeah. Younger people will be more assertive and say, this is rubbish. But older people will say, it's me. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to deal with this. Mm-hmm. So as a result, we did this survey on how to make banks more age-friendly. It's not only hospitals or health centers. We have to make society more age-friendly. And I guarantee for those that are younger here, if you have an age-friendly bank, it's going to be good for you as well.
Can I ask, show of hands in the audience, hands up those who felt humiliated or upset by the barriers that sometimes technology presents to accessing information? Yeah, that's quite a large response from the audience. Okay, good. Another question. The mandatory pension age is increasing. We have an economic challenge re skills and labour. What are the benefits of a longer working life, if any? We've touched on this a bit, but...
Well, I would just add one thing. For every 3 older people that are fully employed and working, you will open an opportunity for a younger person to work. Because these 3 older people are paying taxes, they are being productive, they are contributing to the economy. So it's not only older people that will gain, you are creating the wealth on which is going to be based a new opportunity for a younger person to work. Everybody gains. But you have to be very sensitive. Because, to tell someone that has always worked in a very boring, exhaustive occupation, and then at the age of 64, you tap his shoulder and say, good news, you have another 3 years to work.
Well, in fact, that's just happened to us. But let me see a show of hands and have a look around and see. Hands up those who, from themselves, from their own point of view or understanding of others that they know, think that people would like to see a more flexible set of possibilities in the retirement question. Just let's see a show of hands. Okay, so the majority of people here think that that would be useful. Okay, we've got time really for one more. How do we change the media's our obsession with youth, looking young?
That is a tough one.
It is.
And I will only give the example of what we are trying to do in Brazil. The same bank has now created 3 awards. One is academic, it's to promote research on aging, and it is in association, in collaboration with the Brazilian Society of Gerontology. The second is a special award for journalism, for both written and electronic and tele. So it is to promote young, especially younger journalists, to cover aging issues in a better way with quality. And we are also going to develop a website so that these journalists can be based and get the good quality data to write the articles. And the third one, which I find particularly exciting, is younger people writing life histories of older people that they know. I'm not talking about writing the life of the president or Pelé. It is really about people that you know, your neighbors or someone in your family. And this person who is going to write is younger than 30, and it is to promote intergenerational solidarity. We have to be more creative on how we are going to promote ideas, solidarity, bringing the young and the old together. And the role of the media is absolutely essential. I get very angry when I see older people being characterized as gaga with all the stereotypes. It's inadmissible. And it is, again, a rights-based approach that will prevent the media to portray us like that.
Fantastic. Listen, everybody, thank you for your questions. We won't be able to take any more today, but we appreciate you alerting us to these issues. We have a Facebook page now that you're welcome to use. We've got Twitter accounts working. The Twitter address is follow at Adelaide Thinker. Follow us at Adelaide Thinker. Our website is now up and running. We've got strong video of Alex up there, and we'll be putting this conversation up there shortly too. So please stay in touch with us. Talk to us about what you think. The Facebook page is a great place to do that. We'll be making sure Alex keeps abreast of what you're telling us, and we will listen to you. We may not be able to give you lengthy replies to every single question, but we will certainly be aggregating the feedback that we're getting. So please pass on to your friends and colleagues the fact that this residency is for everyone in South Australia, and we really want to engage with you. Can I thank you, Alex, for this conversation, and we really enjoyed getting to know you, and thank you for being here with us.